All right. So, like I was saying, my name is Sada Abdelaziz, and I'm here on behalf of Abolitionist Teaching Network and the Atlanta chapter of the NAACP. The Southern Center for Human Rights and Abolitionist Teaching Network is calling for this virtual press conference alongside other concerned activists in light of the latest court proceeding called for by Judge Jerry Baxter. That court proceeding will be taking place tomorrow. And it has to do with the ongoing Atlanta public school cheating scandal. So we'll be having comments from some community advocates, and then we'll open up the floor to press from questions. And y'all can feel free to type in your questions already in the chat, and we'll get to them after the comment. So tomorrow, the attorney representing the remaining 6 defendants in the case, Stephen Scarborough, will appear before Judge Jerry Baxter. It appears that the focus of Thursday's hearing is a motion to withdraw representation filed by Stephen Scarborough. He maintains that it's a conflict of interest to represent multiple defendants in the same case. The State Bar of Georgia concurred with his position in 2019, but Judge Jerry Baxter denied the motion. So we're not sure what course Judge Jerry Baxter is going to take tomorrow, but it is as evident to us today as it was almost exactly a year ago when the last hearing around this case was set to take place, as it was nearly 10 years ago when the first indictments of Georgia public school educators began. The Atlanta public school cheating scandal must come to an end. 2023 marks a decade of legal proceedings. We have seen 2 educators go to prison, hundreds of community service hours earned, and thousands of dollars go to legal costs. And that doesn't even begin to detail the burden on Georgia taxpayers. The title of longest and most expensive criminal trial in Georgia history has been earned. And yet we believe that not a single child in the public school system of Atlanta or Georgia has benefited from these legal actions. We as Georgia residents, human rights groups, community advocates, and organizations dedicated to advancing the ideal of public education are calling upon Judge Jerry Baxter to take the opportunity of tomorrow's court date to finally close this ugly and draining chapter of our history. No educator should go to prison over a test. No lawyer should be forced into a conflict of interest to represent them. We're tired, and the people of Atlanta and of Georgia are tired. And if we do really want to fix public education, let's move forward with the task of fixing it, rather than doubling down on a wrong that cannot be righted through this course of action. Judge Jerry Baxter has the power to draw this to a close. And we implore you, please use that power. Thank you. So I'll hand it off now to Mr. Griggs of the NAACP, followed by Dr. Marquita Blades, Mr. James Woodall, Reverend Timothy McDonald, Bishop Darius Ashlock Sr., and we'll close out with President Richard Rose.
And thank you. I'm Attorney Gerald Griggs, President of the Georgia State Conference of the NAACP, and former attorney for Angela Williamson in Georgia's longest trial, the Atlanta Public Schools cheating scandal trial, where I also represented several other defendants who were not charged. And what I can say about this particular chapter in American history and in Georgia history, it was the most unnecessary trial that I've ever seen. 8 months of witnesses, hundreds and hundreds of documents, thousands of court hours where no child was remediated was a waste of time. And so to still almost 10 years later, be still talking, litigating this issue, it's time for us to close the chapter on this ugly part of Atlanta's history. We need to move forward. The 6 defendants that are left, I believe, have done substantially enough to end this particular saga. And so, you know, as my position with the NAACP, we've always stood with these teachers through the Atlanta chapter and through many of the other units in support of their civil rights. And I think that hopefully tomorrow, Judge Baxter will see light at the end of the tunnel, that the end come for this. Again, no child was remediated. No good came of this trial. Individuals died because of this trial, during the trial, and even after the trial. And it was a colossal waste of time and taxpayer money. So for those reasons, as well as the fact that the 6 educators who are still left standing were fine, upstanding members of the community. None of them had any criminal history before this and have not had any criminal history after this. The 2 educators that did go to prison have now served their time and are back being productive citizens in our community, one of which is back teaching, and her record has been cleared. So if the goal was to fix the system is still operating in the same capacity that it did before. I saw some test results recently from the Atlanta Public Schools, this school district, that were very disturbing. Students reading under the basic baseline with ELA and math. And so my question, having sat through the trial, having heard the verdict, which still shocks my conscience even today, that on April Fool's Day 2015, educators were found guilty of changing wrong to right answers for the purpose of financial gain, when there was absolutely no financial gain by the individuals that were actually on trial. It's shocking that we're even having to come before the media and the world to demand actual closure to this case and actual justice. But what I would ask the judge, as humbly as I know how, to end this, to allow the educators who are still facing these charges with these prison sentences leniency and clemency, and dismiss this case. And so we can move on to the actual work of taking care of the education of our young people and moving forward as a community. So I, Gerald Griggs, respectfully ask for Judge Jerry Baxter to see leniency and to see justice and dismiss this case.